Now, Connecticut's only all-weather show. This is First Alert Weather Extra.
Welcome back. In tonight's edition of Wildlife versus Weather, First Alert meteorologist Jill Gilardi is heading to her backyard to show us how the rain we've had impacts certain animals.
Well, a young fox has been turning up at my backyard bird bath, taking a little drink and then spending several minutes investigating the area with its nose. What may look like a simple stop for water is actually a window into a complex world of wildlife behavior where scent, survival, and even recent rainfall can play a role. In this evening's edition of Wildlife versus Weather, we explore what this young fox may be searching for. Well, at first glance, it may look like the fox is simply, grabbing a drink, but wildlife experts say there's likely much more going on. A ground level bird bath can become a hub of activity for dozens of animals. We got birds stopping by for a drink and to bathe. You get squirrels, mice, rats, raccoons, and other visitors may pass through during the day and night. Each leaves behind scent clues that can linger long after the animal is gone. So for a fox, those scents tell a story. Foxes rely heavily on their sense of smell to identify potential prey, locate competitors, and learn what animals are using in an area. What looks like a random sniffing may actually be the fox gathering information about its neighborhood. The timing is also important. Early summer is when many young foxes are becoming more independent and they're exploring beyond the den. Now, curiosity plays a major role in their development as they learn where to find food, water, and safe travel routes. Weather can, of course, influence the search as well. Recent rainfall often changes conditions for both predators and prey. Moist soil can bring earthworms, insects, and other food sources closer to the surface. Small mammals may actually become more active after rain, creating new hunting opportunities. At the same time, rain can affect scent. Light moisture may help hold odors close to the ground, making them easier for animals to detect. But heavy rain, well, it can wash away tracks and scent trails, forcing foxes to rely on fresh clues instead of older ones. The bird bath itself may serve as more than a watering hole. It acts as a gathering place where the scents of many backyard visitors become concentrated in one location, giving a curious young fox plenty to investigate. So whether it's searching for a drink, tracking potential prey, or simply learning about the wildlife that shares the backyard, this young fox appears to be using one of nature's most powerful tools, its nose. Little recent rain, a busy bird bath, there's no shortage of information waiting to be discovered. Back to you.